Welcome.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So good morning to all guest speaker this morning, Mr. Jalen Stevens. Good morning to principal. Good morning to my co-coordinator, Lissel, and to form teacher, Ms. Ramona Dial, all the students present. Welcome to this, our third installment in our talk series. And the background of it is that we wanted we wanted to be able, as alumni, past students, we wanted to give back. And normally when we talk about giving back, people always think about money and financial donations and stuff. And there is so much of knowledge that is left or lost or not shared. And we thought that it would be wise and helpful that we bring students who would have walked these halls, that they would have understood all this stress that you are going through currently. Well, not all, because we didn't have corona then. We had other stresses, but we had the experience of being 11 and 12 just like you. And at the end of an experience at our great Bishop's High School, many of us have been great successes in all the different areas we have chosen to step into, making impact all over the world. And so we wanted to let our first formers and all the students understand that although you are born on this little pebble or little stone called Tobago, that the world is yours. And especially now, guided or aided by technology, your impact is going to be almost immediate if you choose that to be your way. So I'm not going to share any secrets. If Jahlin, when he starts speaking, Jahlin is my boy. I was his form teacher. He made me love him like that, right? And he has grown up. I saw all the transitions in his life, and his life has not been easy, right? So that's another thing that I hope he's able to share with you, that you're not going to be, what is that, distracted by the image you see now and not understand the background or the story of where people come from. So I'm not going to share his secrets. He will divulge those to you and probably at the end leave you with some good tips on how you will reach where he is now or even pass him. So without any more words, welcome again, Jahlin, and back to you, Miss Dial.
Good morning, students. Thank you, Ms. James Stewart. Now I will share my screen introducing our guest speaker. Introducing Mr. Jalen Stephen. Let me give you a little background on our guest speaker. Jalen Stephen is an engineer, an entrepreneur, and an educator. He is also a proud graduate of Bishop's High School, Tobago, and a Trinidad and Tobago National Scholar. He graduated from BHS Tobago in 2014, earning a national scholarship in mathematics. In fact, he placed first in the entire Caribbean for Applied Mathematics Unit 2. He then went on to the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine campus, where he excelled in his academics and other co-curricular activities and graduated with a degree in civil engineering. Jahlin currently runs his own virtual academy for high school and university students, while working as a geotechnical engineering consultant for major projects across Trinidad and Tobago. He is a very passionate advocate for tertiary education reform, which he actively supports through UEL Academy, a virtual academy that currently has more than 100 university tutors who assist university and high school students across the Caribbean. He also works full-time at a geotechnical engineering firm.
Sorry for being late.
No problem. Where he does engineering designs and analysis for landslides, buildings, and other infrastructure for major projects across Trinidad and Tobago, including the Tobago Airport expansion and Curep interchange. So students, with no further ado, you have an amazing individual presenting to you today. I hand you over to Mr. Jalen Stephen.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Diao.
You're welcome.
Hello, everyone. I'm happy to see all the young faces. It really reminds me of, me back. Well, I'm still relatively young, but it reminds me a lot of myself, when I was in your position. I know you guys are in first form, so you never really get to experience the full experience of bishops, but I know that when the coronavirus and these things subside, you guys would be able to go back to school and finally be able to, meet and interact with each other, right? When Miss Lisa, your coder, reached out to me and told me about this, and told me to come and speak to the first form students. One of the major things is like, what me, Jalen Stephen, could really tell these little children, when I was in your position, I was probably, and Miss James still to attest to that, I was a little troublemaker. I was, it's natural. It's very natural, that, when you're younger, you tend not to, you tend to be a little bit rebellious sometimes, and, you tend to be just basically, you think you know everything, and teachers are boring, and, you just believe that you, as a young person, you know everything, and they don't know nothing, right? But, throughout my experience at Bishops, it was really something that matured me a lot, from first form straight to fifth form, then to sixth form to where I'm at now. It was really a journey that involved a lot of introspection and learning along the way, right? So, I guess I will just share some of the experiences, that I would have gained, and some of the wisdom and insights I would have gained throughout my years at Bishops, right? So when I was in first form, right, I just came into Bishops. I went to Scarborough Methodist. Anybody here from Scarborough Methodist? You could just raise your hand. No? Yeah, it is the best private school. Just let the others know. I'm just kidding. But all schools are great, by the way. But yes, you came to Bishops. Bishops is, the top school in Tobago. So, when I just came in, excited to meet all these bright children from all over Tobago, some even from Trinidad, etc., who, came to this nice establishment, right? As a first form student, I guess like every other student, you now enter into this new establishment, right? Where you're meeting persons who twice the size, who, share the same space as you. So as a first form student, it could naturally be intimidating, to see these big fifth formers or these big sixth formers, just these big fifth formers and these big sixth formers just hovering over here, going to canteens and stuff. Well, you guys wouldn't have experienced that yet, but when you come out, you'll experience the fullness of it, right? So when I came in first form, I would have met a lot of friends, some was miserable just like me, Others were pretty, I guess they had their head on, they were the persons who excel a lot in class and stuff like that, So I've always been cool, and I was always able to kind of mesh with everyone, right? So in first form, I would have just started. I came from being, when I was in primary school, you know, I wasn't the top student, you know, but even though I used to play the fool, you know, I used to be at least the first boy in the class, you know, or the first, or, you know, come in the top 5 and stuff like that. So, you know, I thought that, you know, Bishops or high school would have been a breeze because, you know, all my life I've been playing and getting through. So, you know, why not do the same thing when you come to this new chapter in your life, right? But, you know, sadly enough to say that first form, you know, I would have got the lowest grades I ever got in my entire life, you know. You know, I was probably like out of 40 students, I was like 30s and the lower half of the class, you know, all the time. And to me, it didn't bother me as much, you know, because I was enjoying my time, you know, I was playing with friends and stuff like that, not really focused on school, right? It really did not affect me much in first form, right? I went on my merry way because I guess the company I was with, you know, we didn't really value these things, you know, as much, right? And you know, I guess it's easy to be persuaded by your environment, right? Especially as a child, you know, because you want to have some sense of belonging or some sense of, you know, you want to be able to fit in, right? But, you know, I just want to make it very clear to all of you guys, there's no problem in standing out, there's no problem in being different, you know, because at the end of the day, that is what would always set you apart, right? So yeah, first form was, you know, had its ups and downs, right? Because, you know, I would have gotten suspended once or twice, you know, for sticking sticky notes on people. Sticking sticky notes on persons, you know, back in assembly. So you guys don't have assembly yet, you know, but assembly normally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you know, you'll gather in the hall, right? And you guys would, you know, have your press sessions and stuff like that, right? So being miserable, you know, I don't know why I get this genius idea to say that I want to write a kick me note and stick it on the person in front of me back, you know? And, you know, having them go through school with that sticky note on the back, you know, I was just very idle, you know, and, you know, it would have led to me being in, you know, in trouble sometimes. And, you know, it wasn't, as I reflect on it now, I can laugh about it, you know, but, you know, I would have gotten a little like something, you know, when I go home, Jahlin, why, you know, why are you doing this, why are you doing that, why are you doing this, that, the other, right? So that was first form, right? One of the other things too is that coming from my family background and stuff like that wasn't, I guess, the best, you know, but I have never been someone who, you know, I try to always stay positive, stay happy, whatever, you know, and just be, you know, the best person that it could be. And, you know, it's not really to try to think that, you know, the end of the, just because you may be in a bad situation means that it's the end of the world, right? So, you know, when at the end of first form, I would have started, you know, like I would have worked at the gas station actually, right by Orange Hill, right? I would have started working there and stuff like that during summertime, you know, wiping windscreens and stuff like that. And, you know, I guess I was with, you know, if you're thinking of somebody, you know, normally if you're thinking of somebody like that, you're thinking that they're very wayward and stuff like that, right? Which I was, you know, but it's only, Just now, give me 1 second. Yeah. All right, sorry about that, right? Yes, so then transition into second form, you know, I guess it was the same habit, right? Where, you know, it wasn't anything, I wouldn't say that, you know, I was living up to my full potential, you know, simply because I hadn't realized it as yet, you know. I would never forget in second form, right, Miss Jane Stewart herself would have came in class because she was my form teacher, right? She would have came in class and gave us this exercise to do, you know, to write some of the things that you, well, write a letter to your future self, right? Which she took all the letters and gave us when we was in fifth form. So I'll just share the letter. If it's, well, I'm seeing it's disabled. It's just a quick letter. I'll just read out to the class. Okay, great. All right, I'll just share it quickly. So you guys are seeing the letter on the screen, right? It's second, right? So I was in 2A2, you know, A2, you know, as an A2 person, right? It said, you know, dear me in the future, you know, I thank bishops for educating me. Don't mind the bad grammar, you know, it's you can't blame me, right? I thank bishops for educating me, right? Bishops helped me to achieve, well, that's not how you spell achieve, but achieve plenty things. You know, I got 22.5 out of 35 for my French midterm exam. The reason I wrote that, you know, is because at that time, throughout my entirety at Bishops, that was one of the most, that was the highest grade, you know, that I really got in a test, you know. You know, to me, I felt good on French, you know, I started liking French and stuff like that. That was when I really started slowly transitioning, you know. So, yes, I got 22 out of 35 for French midterm exam. You know, I want to be an engineer. At this time, I don't even know how I was going to become an engineer, right? I want to be an engineer. I'm trying to TD very hard. That's supposed to be hard. It is very difficult sometimes, but I understand now, right? I hope that I'll be successful in the future. I also want to join the Trinidad and Tobago Regiment, you know, as in cadets, by the way, you know, so that was the reason for that. I hope I behave better so that I may get Lance Corporal. You'll see the word I hope I behave better a lot because, as I told you, you know, I was very miserable, right? I will behave better so I get a recommendation. I want to go to UE and study engineering. I hope that I may behave better in the future again. I hope the Lord to be with me always, and may God bless me so that I see 2012, right? An old friend Jahlin. This was me in second form, right? At that point in time, right, I'll just stop sharing, right? At that point in time, I had no idea how I was going to be an engineer, firstly, you know, how I was going to, you know, even get a recommendation, because back in the day, you know, you're thinking that, you know, you need teachers' recommendations to, you know, for them to refer you to different establishments and stuff like that, you know, and me always being a miserable person, you know, I thought that, you know, like my life would come to an end if, you know, I really don't get my act together. You know, so in second form, you know, I really started to gradually think to myself, like, Jahlin, like, you know, where do you want to go? You know, like, I started thinking, like, when I reach fifth form, right? You know, I finally out of school, like, what are my next steps? I mean, it wasn't too much of a, let's say, it was a thought that was in the back of my head, right? But I'll still go on and give me a little trouble and stuff like that, right? It's only third form I really decided to put my foot down, right? Because, you know, I got into even more trouble in second form, you know, and I said for third form, let me try something new, right? So in third form, I remember I had a friend, you know, a close friend of mine, Kerry Warner, you know, he's now a doctor, right? And I remember, well, Miss Jane still sort of tried to reshuffle the class, you know, to try to cut out all the troublemakers and stuff. We had a little crew in the corner, you know, just us boys who used to lime a lot and, you know, just used to talk a lot, right? So Miss Jane Stewart, being, you know, the good teacher that she is, she realized that that wasn't good for us. So she decided to split us up, right? And, you know, something in me, you know, as much as I wanted to stay with the crew and basically I'm lying because she didn't move me directly, you know. She would have moved Kerry and stuff like that, right? Something in me just told me, you know, like, okay, what am I going to do after school? You know, I guess, you know, in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to be an engineer. You know, I knew that I wanted to be successful in life. Everyone wants to be successful, you know? So I took a little chance. You know, I said that I'll move from the crew and go to stay seated with Kerry. Kerry, he has always been a top student. Always placed first, second, or third in class. You know, so naturally, you know, I guess, you know, if I wanted to be somewhat better in school, you know, I said that maybe I should associate myself more with, you know, persons who, you know, got it right. So, you know, and that is just to show you that it's very important of the company you keep, right? Not saying that you don't, you know, you believe that you're better than persons or you don't have the humility to associate with any and everyone. But at the end of the day, you need to know who, like, you admire persons who are further along in their journey than you are, right? So if you know that you want to do better in school, talk to the persons who have been doing great at school and, you know, find out what they are doing, you know, that you're probably not doing, and, you know, just to get guidance as to where you're heading, you know, because it saves you a lot of time than you failing and experimenting and, you know, continuously failing before you really learn what you need to learn to move forward, right? So I would have started associating myself with Kerry, you know, and yeah, I mean, still, you know, still used to get a little trouble, but over time the trouble reduced and reduced. Don't, you know, I still give a lot of trouble now, you know, I just do it in a respectful way, you know, but yeah, so, you know, I started associating myself with Kerry and I gradually saw, you know, I saw a great improvement actually in my grades, you know, from entering third form, you know, where majority of the class was shocked because this person who come in 30, 35 out of 40 in class to jump straight towards in the coming 15th, coming 11th, you know, people wanted to know, you know, what was going on because straight throughout high school, I guess I had the stigma attached to me that, you know, I wasn't that very smart or stuff like that, you know. But truth of the matter is just that I was not living up to my full potential, you know, and it's the same for a lot of you guys, you know. You're very young, you know. You have not experienced a lot in life yet to really know who you are, you know. And one of the things that I would be reiterating at the end, you know, is to never try to limit yourself based on your present circumstances. You know that there's a future, you know, waiting, you know, down the road that you probably might not even imagine, you know, at this point in time, you know, but you have to know within yourself, you know, what you are good at, you know, what you like, what you enjoy, you know. So one of the little tips, you know, and I'll probably jumping the gun, but one of the little tips, you know, I'd like to give you guys is that try a little bit of everything. If you're not too sure what you like, you know, like me, I kind of like engineering, so that would have guided my decisions from young, you know. But I know a lot of persons think they don't know where they're heading in life and stuff like that. Just take the time, have an open mind, and try a little bit of everything. You know, you never run in primary school. Try running for school sports. You never know, you might like it, you know, and it might totally change the direction of your life, right? You never played table tennis. Try something new, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, these experiences, you know, they all contribute to you, you know, becoming a holistic person, right? And it also helps you to, you know, I guess, discover your full potential, you know? So, yes, in third form, I had gradually started improving, right? Fourth form, well, I guess people started seeing, you know, that I had potential to, you know, excel. And in fourth form, the great thing is that, well, actually, I grew to realize that while I was in first to third form, you realize that you're not able to choose your subjects. You know, so you have to do art, even though I don't like art. I have to do music. This is not bashing anyone who likes it, by the way. This is me, right? I didn't like certain subjects, so naturally I wasn't inclined to it, right? But in fourth form, you're able to choose subjects that you actually like. So I choose maths. I choose, you know, art maths. I choose physics. I seen Miss Rodney, Miss Michaela skinning up her face, so I know she don't like maths, but you know, I was able to choose subjects that I actually like. So you actually realize in fourth form, I started excelling even more, you know, from being a student who haven't been performing well throughout my lower high school year to, you know, being someone who now coming first for maths, you know, in my class, to, you know, basically excelling, you know, in other subject areas, you know, and that would have continued straight to fifth form, right? Note that I don't believe that I was fully living up to my full potential, even during when I was excelling in class, you know, simply because I guess naturally we tend to have a lot of limiting mindsets, you know, which when I entered sixth form, you know, I tried really hard to, you know, to basically clear my mind, you know, of all these hindrances that usually that was affecting, you know, me living to my full potential. So one of the things that, well, you guys would have probably met Mr. Stewart for a short while. You know, one of the most notable things that I could remember when I entered sixth form, right, is that I was in a physics class, right? And Mr. Stewart gave us this question to do, right? It wasn't an easy question, right? And I remember someone who I regarded as smart or, you know, the bright person in the class, you know, he would have tried the question, and then after a few minutes, he would have said, you know, he can't solve it, you know. So when I heard that, me naturally not, at that point in time, I still wasn't, I guess, to my full potential as yet, you know. So even in other classes, I was not the best. Maths, I used to excel in, but in other subject areas, I wasn't that strong, you know. So when he said that, you know, he couldn't have solved it, I exclaimed after that, you know, if he can't solve it, I can't solve it, you know. And anybody who knows Mr. Stewart knew him to be a very jolly person, you know, very kind, you know, always laughing, right? That's the first time I see Mr. Stewart actually get serious, you know, and he watched me and he told me something, you know, he told me, Jahlin, I don't want to ever hear you saying that again, you know? And in the moment, I guess I feel somewhat bad, but it's only upon leaving class, you know, he pulled me aside and told me that, you know, why limit yourself based on what someone else can't do, you know? Like we all have the same brain, right? We all have the ability to think for ourselves, you know, we all have, you know, we are all unique in our own way, you know? And in the moment, you know, it wasn't something that, I guess, in the moment, you know, I just took it as, you know, a word of advice, you know, but not to say my life changed the next day, you know, but it was something I guess was playing in the back of my head to the point where I started challenging my beliefs, you know, because I think a lot of time what happens throughout school, right, is that we limit ourselves a lot, right? So we see that, all right, the person who has been coming first in class, you know, and you have been coming, you know, probably in the lower end of class, and you think that you could never be that person. You're just not bright or you're not smart. And I think that is the worst thing anybody could ever do themselves, you know? And it was only upon after Mr. Stewart really stressed that point, you know, I really challenged myself to say, hey, why can't I be the best, you know, person in class in physics, you know? Why can't I be, you know, someone who is the top student? Not at that point in time in my life, you know, I was thinking just like other students who, you know, have not, you know, excel, you know, to their full potential, you know, and being at the top of the class and stuff like that, right? And, you know, I really started challenging my beliefs, you know, why can't I, you know, be that top student, you know? That first term in sixth form, you know, was really a game changer, you know, because as much as I've been excelling over the years, you know, I believe it's only then I started reaching the peak of, well, not peak, but, you know, I've started climbing even higher. So that term, you know, I was able to come from, in the sciences, I still wasn't strong. I was strong in maths, you know, but the person who I was telling you about, he was always the best maths person there is throughout the form. Everyone knew that, right? So, you know, I really challenged myself, and that term, you know, I made another huge jump, you know, to, even though I said that, yes, I wanted to be better than this, well, you know, come first in class, that term, I came second in all my subjects, right? And the person who came first was the same boy, you know, but, you know, it really, after seeing that, it gave me a lot of confidence, you know, that I can. And after that, you know, I've always been excelling, and to the point where, you know, at the end of sixth form, I was able to, you know, place first in the Caribbean, you know, come seventh through the entire Caribbean, you know, in physics, and maths, right? And it was, you know, that would be the end of my high school experience, you know, and with that confidence, I guess I went on to university and excel. And, you know, the rest was history, right? So what I would like to reiterate to all of you, right, is the need for you, as much as you are young now, and, you know, you're thinking that fifth form is so far ahead, you know, you have a lot of time, you grow to realize these years go by in a flash. You know, before you blink, you know, you realize in second form, you know, think of it, the first term in Bishops already coming to an end, right? By next year, you know, you'll be in second form. You know, so you grow to realize that time is something that always moves forward, right? But so not because I know you guys would have your questions, right? Some points I would like to highlight from my experience at Bishops, right, is the need to gradually progress, right? This is not saying that you shouldn't aim to be a best at all times, right? But you need to know that your best and someone else's best, you know, may differ at times, you know, due to, you never know that the different factors that really contributes towards you know, being at the stage that you are in your life right now. You know, so I would just like to really reiterate that point, you know, because if you don't realize that you could always improve, you would always spend your time thinking that, okay, because I didn't do good in my maths exam or my maths midterm means that I can't do good in my maths end of term, you know? And if you have that mindset, you know, it's something that it really limits you a lot, you know, from your full potential. So always be open to gradually improving, and remember that the race is really the race, you know, is not a sprint, you know, it's a marathon, you know, because, and I would have seen it a lot throughout my years that, you know, I didn't start strong, you know, but I definitely finished strong, you know, to the point where I was able to even be one of the 9 scholarship holders, you know, a feat that, you know, most persons who knew me from young would think is very impossible, you know. So I just want you guys, as we are approaching, I know you guys gonna be getting your first set of results, you know. So that is the reason why I'm really stressing this, you know, because if you think that your results is some representation of who you are, you know, I think it really limits you in a lot of ways, you know. So that is one of the points, right? Another point I would like to reiterate is, do not let, you know, the opinions of other people limit you, you know. Throughout high school, you know, when I was in 3rd form, when I was about to pick AdMaths, you know, I would have got so much resistance from persons who was a form ahead of me, you know, telling me that AdMaths is the worst thing you could ever choose, you know, and AdMaths is so hard, you know, and just to stay away from it, you know. But if I had choose, you know, if I decided to take the advice, I would have never picked maths altogether, you know. I would have never been the top maths student, you know, I would have never been, you know, a scholarship holder for mathematics simply because I just choose to listen to, you know, someone else's opinion of what, you know, I should do from what I shouldn't do, right? So always remember that other person's opinion or view are not, you know, the definition of who you are. You know, you need to spend time knowing who you are, right? And that could only be done through trial and error, right? One of the other points I'd like to touch on is to enjoy your school days, you know, enjoy your school days because as you could see, I had a lot of fun. You know, I had a lot of fun from all the little playful things that I used to do. To well, I won't be giving you guys tips, you know, because yeah, but you know, to basically, you know, I really enjoy my school days. Like I fully, if I was to live over my experience, you know, nothing would change. I would change not a single thing, you know. So I know what it means to. Well, I really don't want to be giving you guys any bad, you know, anything any bad advice or anything like that. But yeah, really enjoy school days because these are the days that you'll grow up to, you know, cherish the most, you know, and the people around you know, would all grow into, you know, successful persons, and, you know, you guys would be able to laugh at, you know, being, you know, young and, you know, naive, I guess, right? And yeah, so those, with those mainly 3 points, you know, which is gradually progress, and remember, you know, it's a marathon and not a sprint, right? Do not limit yourself based on other person's opinion, right? And enjoy, you know, the time at Bishop's and try experiencing a little bit of everything, you know, because that tends to develop you into, you know, a very holistic person, right? And yeah, so that was, you know, basically my experience at Bishop's, you know, in a very summarized version because we, you know, you're just trying to keep it in the time limit, you know, that was given. And yeah, it's just, yeah, the journey, it doesn't need to be perfect, you know, but you always need to have the ability to always gradually improve yourself, you know. And I know if I was in first form and someone was telling me what I'm telling you right now, I would have ignored it, you know, I would have probably not paid much attention, you know, to it. But, you know, I'll grow to realize how later down in a journey, you know, when you're faced with an obstacle, right? And you're faced with a challenge as in regards to who you want to be and who you are right now, always remember that you could always improve and just take gradual steps towards, you know, your bigger goals. You know, so so that really concludes the end of my presentation. And, you know, I'd just like to welcome a lot of questions, ask anything, you know, that you guys probably, you know, concerned about or, you know, would like advice on, or, you know, anything that you think that you probably need to ask. Yes. So, well, I'll just hand it over to Ms. DL, who will facilitate the process.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Guys, any questions? You can either tap in the chat, type it out in the chat and I will read it out, or you can raise your hand and I will call upon you. Questions?
Don't be shy. Well, I've seen someone asking, do I watch anime? Yeah, I guess I watch Naruto. Anybody here that's watch Naruto?
Yes, sir. So no
Alright.
other specific anime at all? Just a
Huh?
just Naruto alone, or any other specific anime?
Well, Naruto, I don't know what else you'd, I guess, I don't know if you'll call Avatar an anime, but I also watch Rick and Morty, if you guys just watch Rick and Morty, you know? Oh, I actually remember as in first form, I used to make, if you watch Naruto, you know, I'd make like shurikens out of paper. Oh, yeah, Dragon Ball Z. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan, you know, as well too. You know?
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So yes, I enjoy cartoons and stuff. Even to this age, you know, I still watch my Naruto and Dragon Ball Z still. You know, so it's a lot of things they could really teach you.
We have a question from Michaela. Michaela, hand is up. Michaela, you can ask a question, unmute your mic and ask, please.
Yes, miss. So you said that you don't, if somebody tell you shouldn't do maths or those kind of things. So you still have to be wise when you're picking your subjects. But if you like a subject and you're not very good at it, but you like it, should you pick it?
Yes, I totally think you should, right? Because when I picked, note that when I picked maths and maths, I was not the best student at maths. You know, I was actually, you know, well, I guess I wasn't the worst student, but I wasn't the best. You know, and a lot of different subjects that I picked, physics and these things, I was not nowhere, you know, close to being considered, you know, the best student at it, you know, but I knew that I wanted to be an engineer, right? I like the subject. You realize that it have a lot of things you like, but you might not, you know, be the best at, but you just need to gradually improve. You know, always aim to gradually improve, right? So you take your time to, you know, just consistently grow, right? So if you know that you probably got, you know, 25 out of 50 for one exam, your aim should be, you know, how do I get 30 out of 50 in my next exam, or 40 out of 50 in my next exam? And don't be discouraged if you realize in the next exam you did a little worse. That just simply means you need to sit, think, what did I do wrong? Or what, you know, areas I can improve in, and then work on that. Everything that you do, don't let your results define who you are, but more so how much, you know, work you put into yourself. So sometimes I would, you know, even realize that, you know, I would spend an entire term, you know, probably saying that, all right, I'll try to do my assignments on time. I'll do this on time. And then at the end of the term, when I watch my report card, it actually went down. And then you'll think to yourself like, wow, you know, what am I doing wrong? You know? Yeah, it's just the fact that I was able to think to myself, what am I doing wrong? You know, and try to fix what is wrong with what I'm doing. I would have gradually received, you know, realized that, you know, I would have improved gradually over time. You know, so always aim to challenge yourself, And if you are inclined to a particular subject, even though you might not be, you know, best at it now, just aim to gradually improve until you become, you know, your best, right?
Thank
Hope
you.
that answers your question. I'm seeing another question with how did I deal with stress? Okay, well, how I deal with stress is by, I guess, having fun, right? Now is not the time, right, for you to be burdening yourself with too much stress. As much as, you know, there were a lot of things that, you know, would have had the potential to stress me out as a child. You know, I always try to stay above it, you know, by having, you know, being present in the moment, you know, and having, I guess, fun with my friends and stuff like that. And whenever I realize that things are a little bit too stressful, I would, you know, I would immerse myself in a lot of my co-curricular activities. So I used to run, actually, you know, during my first to third form. I did sprinting, long distance, and stuff like that. So I would just channel my energy into something that, you know, I would enjoy. But try your best, right, to when you're dealing with stress. Okay, when you're dealing with stress in particular, try to find outlets or things that you can do to better your to take your mind away from it, right? Because what stress feeds on is your focus, you know? Because you're focusing on, you're doing probably bad in school, or you're focusing on, you know, probably any, you know, domestic issues or stuff like that. When you place your focus on it, you know, it tends to be, you know, you feel like you don't have control, you know, and you spend a lot of time thinking and, you know, beating yourself up, right? But at this stage, try your best to, you know, immerse yourself in something that you enjoy, just to take your mind off of it. Because you realize that when your mind is not focused on whatever is stressing you out, it loses its power altogether, right? So I hope that answers your question, right? So what is your deepest fear in schoolwork? Deepest fear, you could or you mean like the, what do you mean by that? Just to be clear, so that sure.
So like doing the subjects,
Mm-hmm. Or like
doing
with subject, or
like doing the subject that I do like.
oh, okay. And doing a subject that well, I guess every child's fear would have been, you know, failing, you know, and probably not performing to the best of their ability. But however, it's not a fear to have, you know, as regards to well, especially now in first form and stuff like that. You should always just focus on how you improve over time. You know, I believe once you place your focus on that, you tend to, you be a little bit more open to failing. You know, if I say the next question, you know, you be a lot more open to failing. You know, yeah, but the deepest fear I would have had then would have been, you know, like everyone else would have been feeling, but it's a fear I overcome as I started reflecting on, okay, even though I'm not performing the best, I'm doing better than what I was doing last semester, well, last term or last year, you know, and over time, you know, I gradually lose the fear of, you know, performing badly, you know. But I hope that answers the question. How did you deal with crushes? You know, when I was in school, I guess you know, I used to, I had plenty crushes and stuff like that, you know.
I'll be honest.
And I guess how I would deal with it is be that I guess it's honestly natural, right? It's natural to have crushes and stuff like that, to be in relationships, which I was in. You know, I had you know, little girlfriends and stuff like that. You know, not saying that at any point in time I made having a girlfriend my main focus in life, you know, and for the females, you know, having a boyfriend, that should never be your main priority at this stage. Well, in my opinion, you know, because I believe, you know, it limits yourself in a lot of ways, you know, because you think that, okay, because this girl don't like you, or this boy don't like you, or your crush don't like you back, means that you are somewhat not, you know, how do I put it? Like something is wrong with you, you know, and you don't ever want to let that mindset, you know, translate into the other areas of your life, you know, because sometimes it really cripples you a lot, you know. But how did I deal with our crushes? Just talk to them, you know, laugh. I'll play with them. Well, when I was in first form, you know, I guess I'd play and thief their rag and run away with it, and you know, you'll do all these little things, you know. But yeah, at the end of the day, I guess you just need to know where your focus on, where your focus is on, right? And my focus, I guess, I never made. I mean, I had girlfriends and stuff like that, you know, as a girls man, but I still had my head on, you know. I still knew that I needed to excel in school, you know. At the end of the day, I never made you know, getting a girlfriend a higher priority than, you know, developing myself in school, you know. So that would be the advice I give to you guys, you know. I won't share anymore. Please, would you suggest to choose a subject you want to improve in or subject that you're good in? Ooh, good question. Right. Right. So if you're choosing a subject that you want to improve in, make sure that it's a subject that you somewhat like, right? And as yeah, so make like your passions, right, guide the subjects that you choose, right? Necessarily, not all the time you'll want to just blindly choose a subject that you're good at. You tend, well, I mean, that's good as well too, you know, but it should always have some passion behind it as to why you're choosing the subject. Is it just because you know, are performing good in it, or is it that you really like doing the subject, you know? Did you like doing the subject, etc.? Right? So it should always let your passions guide what you choose, right? And if you're not too certain about what your passion is, you could start from now, start thinking, what do you want to, do as when you grow up, or who do you want to be, right? So you see the letter that I would have shared, at the start of the presentation, today I'm now an engineer, I guess in a lot of ways I am successful, and, that in the moment when I wrote that letter, I had no idea how I was going to do it, but, I know that it was something I wanted to be, in the future, right? So, yeah, let your passions, or let, your future self guide, what you do in the present, right? How did I deal with bullies? Well, bullies, I guess, you see, the thing about it is that bullies feed on your insecurity, right? They feed a lot on you being afraid of them, You grow to realize the moment you really stand up to a bully, right? Or he tends to gradually back away, right? I had bullies. I guess, yes, you would have students who would try to take advantage of you, but me being kind of sarcastic and witty at times, I would always, try to defend myself by not fighting, even though I would have probably get into trouble, but for fighting 1 or 2 times, but it's more so not giving them the power of them feeling like they control you, or that they somewhat, have power over you, right? So the best way, if you're dealing with bullies, you could talk to your teacher about it, confide in your teacher, right? Just let them know that there's a problem with the student being, always bullying you, and, always try, develop, over time, try to develop in yourself the confidence that these bullies, most times you're going to realize is that they are the ones who actually, scared or frightened within themselves, and they just taking that anger out on you, So it's the, it's very slippery, because I know there are different ways that you can get bullied, but the way how you overcome them is by always, staying strong and standing up for yourself, right? And if you don't feel like you have the strength to stay strong and stand up for yourself, confide in a teacher, confide in classmates and stuff like that, who would, give you the guidance and the assistance to, deal with situations like that, because these situations could be very complex. Very complex. You could get bullied by someone who just, well, when you enter, well, I guess eventually when you guys go back to school, you might realize when you go into the canteen and stuff like that, you'd have persons who probably in fifth form who would ask you for $1, and you feel somewhat intimidated by their presence, because it's someone who is, probably twice your size, It's easy to say no. It's really easy to say no. And, if you realize it becomes a problem, you reach out to your form teacher, you reach out to, guidance counselors, and let they guide how you deal with the situation. Because every situation is very unique, especially when you're dealing with that situation, that problem in particular, right? Yes. I'm seeing. Okay, any other questions? Ask anything.
Any more questions, guys?
Have you stayed in contact with your friends that you had in school?
Oh, yes, even every time I come to Tobago, so like Kerry, my friend, one of, I guess my closest high school friends, I would always meet up with him. Even though right now, it could be very busy, because he's a doctor. Most times when I come to Tobago, it's for projects and stuff like that. But we always try to, at least touch base ever so often. But you grow to realize that some friendships that you make along the way, it transcends, like time itself. So even though me and Kerry don't talk for probably a couple months or years, when we meet back up, it is always like, we never left each other, it's always laughs, always fun like that, always having fun and stuff like that, but I guess yeah, I have been keeping in contact, to the best of your ability, with persons, from your past. And, you tend to meet them in different places, So when I attended UB, some persons who, I guess, I would have last seen in fifth form, I was able to see them and I was able to keep in contact. But yes. So let's say you have a superpower to become invisible. What is it for? All right. Oh, actually, I don't know if you guys know Danny Phantom. Is that one cartoon now? Yeah, you guys wouldn't know that.
I know him.
I know that.
You know it? Right. So yeah, I remember when I was in high school, the power invisibility was something cool for me. What would I use it for? If I had the power invisibility, what would I use it for? That's an interesting question, because back then, I would have liked to just be invisible and, go to different places. But now, I guess I will do the same thing, I'll probably try to go in Area 51 and see what I have hiding behind it. But yeah, it's yeah, but yeah, I guess I'll just embark on new experiences. Would you want to relive your experience at Bishop's High? Yes. Like any day, like I really wish I could be in first form right now. Like if I could have relived, and note, I'm glad I asked that question. If I was to relive my Bishop's High School experience, I will not change anything. Not a single thing. Is as much as, at the start, it seemed like, I wasn't, too grounded in, who I am. But I grew to realize the wisdom you gain from gradually improving and stuff like that. It's something that I guess sets me apart in a lot of ways, because when I teach now, I stopped teaching just last year to focus on developing other teachers. you know, but on tutors in particular. But when I was now, you know, teaching my own class, you know, and I'm seeing someone giving trouble at the back of the class, I could have seen myself in that person, you know, because I know that when I was in first form, I was that person, you know, and that in itself, you know, it gives me a lot of patience, and it also gives me a lot of understanding that, you know, that person who you might realize talking out the most in class, sometimes you realize that they just need guidance in the right direction, you know, and they sometimes use these ways to, you know, to express that, you know. So there isn't anything I would change. And I would love to live over my bishop's experience, to be honest, you know, anytime. Who was your favorite teacher? Well, truth of the matter is, I had a lot of teachers, you know, who I won't say I had a favorite, you know, I had a lot of favorite teachers. One being, my form teachers, you know, they would have, you grew to realize that, you know, your favorite teacher, sometimes you might think it's someone who makes you laugh a lot or stuff like that. But when you grow up, you grow to realize that your favorite teacher becomes the one who you learn the most from, you know, and those who gently guide you in the direction. So things like, you know, even Miss James Stewart, she would have had a habit of coming in class and, you know, imparting certain nuggets of wisdom upon us. And in the time, you know, it's like, wow. But now that I'm an adult, you know, like those are the things that really, you know, encourages you so much, you know, on your journey, you know. So I would have liked, so yeah, based on that definition, you know, of who my favorite teacher is, or who are my favorite teachers, you know, it would be those who I learned the most from, you know, and not just for school, but for life. What? Who said that? No. But you know, I guess no, but for real, if I have many favorite teachers, you know. I have many favorite teachers, you know. Mr. Stewart, you know what I learned a lot from him. Well, just through that, you know, encounter. Miss Stewart, if Miss Stewart would have been, you know, a teacher who would have significantly, you know, impacted me in terms of developing my confidence for maths, you know. So, you know, she, in a lot of ways, you know, is a teacher who I really, you know, admire and look up to, even to this day, you know. Yeah, you know, Mr. Atwell, I know Mr. Atwell is still there. You know, he's another great teacher, you know, who would have guided me along, you know, my journey for physics. You know, well, I mentioned Mr. Stewart. You know, there are many teachers, and truth of the matter is I don't have a single one favorite teacher, you know, because each teacher would contribute something differently, you know, to you. And you should accept, you know, you should feel comfortable having multiple favorite teachers. You know, it's not a competition. You know, it's just those who you believe you can learn the most from. right? Did your parents know you had girlfriends? Yes. You know, yeah. I mean, they knew. I mean, I used to not probably tell them, which probably was bad. But yeah, I guess I knew, and I was a little bit own way, so I used to not used to not tell them at times, you know. But that don't mean that you shouldn't let your parents know who you know who are your girlfriends or boyfriends. Okay, nice question by JL. I'm seeing a lot of more questions on top. While you're in school, did you have a fear of being wrong? At the start, I guess I did have a fear of being wrong. So I probably might not have tried to express myself fully in class, right? But I have always been, because I wasn't a top student or anything like that, it didn't bother me as much, you know? And like, if I'm wrong, it's like, okay, you know? I'll just aim not to be wrong the next time, or I'll learn from the experience, you know? So that has always been my attitude. So I wouldn't say that the fear of being wrong used to cripple me, you know, but I was always open to learning, you know, and open to better myself, you know. So yes. Very good job. What was your favorite topic in maths? Oh, actually, maths, there are a lot of nice topics, but the topic that really made me appreciate maths the most was, as bad as it might sound, is algebra and proofs, right? Well, you guys probably never did proofs yet, but algebra. So when you start substituting numbers with letters, most persons start to complain, thinking that, hey, why letters in maths? This is so hard, you know? That would have been a topic that really deepened my understanding of maths a lot, you know? Because to me, it was like a problem solving. It was like a puzzle, you know? Over time, you know, that particular topic really strengthened my skills in maths to the point where I was able to translate it to other topics.
This is Miss James Stewart. We had an accident in plantations. I am only now getting the police report to proceed.
Oh, okay. Yes. So yes, so I'd say it's algebra was my favorite topic in maths.
Hi, sir. Can we take a couple of more questions, because they have class at 11:05.
Okay.
So a couple more once you're okay with it, and we have a vote of thanks.
Yes. So sorry.
No, it's good. I'm enjoying that. I enjoyed that.
Miss Osborne said to come on 11:30.
11. Okay. All right. So they have a little extra time, but then we would want to give you all a little break. Okay. So, sir, back to you.
Yeah, that's no problem. Once You guys have any more questions? Anybody here want to be an engineer, by the way? Anybody here consider yourself being an engineer? You could
Yes,
indicate that. No. Who? Anyone?
Maybe.
Me,
Maybe.
sir.
You? Okay, great.
yes, sir.
As it's really a nice field, you know. There's a lot of problem solving, right? If you like, maybe an animator, okay, that's good, you know. But yeah, you could pay particular attention to like physics and maths, right? See how you enjoy those subjects, right? You just naturally tend to realize persons who, you know, lean towards like engineering, you tend to be a lot more curious, you know, about the way the world works. Rapper, okay, nice. You know, you tend to be a little bit more curious about how things work. So if you realize you're someone who like pulling apart stuff and building it back together, engineering might be something that is nice for you. You know, if you realize that you're always wondering how things operate, like how a vehicle moves, and you know, take questions like these, you know, engineering might be something that you would enjoy, right, in a lot of ways. I'm seeing here that someone say he want to be an animator, but I'm good at physics and enjoy maths. Yeah, that's great. I actually, through my business, right, I actually did a fair share animating myself, right? So with the UBL Academy, which is, you know, my business where I try to basically encourage university students to pick up tutoring, right? For some of the videos, I would do some animation myself and I enjoyed it a lot, you know? But you don't need to limit yourself, right, to strictly, you know, one field. You could do a lot of different things, you know? And yeah, so rapper, actor, business owner, or all. You could be all, you know, and you should aim to be all. You know, don't let that stop you from, you know, don't try to limit yourself, right? Automobile engineer, yes. One of the things that Miss York would have highlighted to me, right, is that a lot of persons think that the only way they can be successful is by going abroad or going to study at Harvard or going to study at, you know, the top universities, you know, in America and stuff like that. You don't need to, always remember that you don't need to, you know, these things should not really define your success, right? Hello? Oh, okay, great. Yes, so you don't need to go abroad to be successful. You know, you could study any and everywhere. Once you learn and apply what you learn, you will always be successful. You know, no matter where you are or what country you are in, you know, you'll always be successful. You know, what is geotechnical engineering? Geotechnical engineering is, so what we do, right, is that it's a branch of civil engineering. So civil engineering is the engineering of structures. So Bishop's High School, any building that you're in, you know, what you realize is that engineers would have to design different elements of the building to make sure that during an earthquake, everything don't come crumbling down on you, right? So it must be designed to withstand certain forces of nature, right? Now, geotechnical engineering is a subset of civil engineering that deals with the soil, right? So our field in particular, you're not able to see half of the stuff that we do simply because it's buried, you know? As much as you would see Bishop's High School, you'd see it as a big structure, but unknown to you, below that big structure, we would have most likely had to place different elements in the ground to make sure that the structure could stay standing. You know? So it doesn't matter, and what we deal with is that it doesn't matter how big a structure is, you know, if it's not on proper foundation, it will never be able to stand tall. You know, and that's an analogy for life, you know, in general too. You know, if you know, make sure that you build proper foundations, you know, in whatever you do, you know, but coming back to geotechnical engineering in particular, so we deal with foundation designs, right? So below buildings, there are things that go into the ground in order to prevent the building from sinking, right? We would have had an issue in Tobago some years back. I guess you guys were very young then. You know, where the Shore Park complex.
Did the lady get to go in here? Let me go measure on that. Right. Okay.
The cultural complex is the cultural complex that you see in Shore Park near the roundabout was sinking, right? And as a geotechnical engineer, we would, you know, develop strategies to try to prevent the structure from sinking. Because imagine this big building just gradually sinking into the ground. You know, you want to prevent against things like that because, you know, yeah, you don't want to be in a sinking building. You know, anybody wants to be in a sinking building. You know, so that is some of the things that we do. We have come across to just recently. I was in Tobago working on, well, you guys know that there's an airport expansion project, you know, so in hopefully 2 to 3 years, you will be getting a new airport, right? And we have done some drilling. So a lot of the work that we do, you know, is really underground. So we, you know, drill to 20 meters or even, you know, deeper beneath the ground to find out what exactly is below there. You know, because you tend to realize that the ground, nobody knows. When you're walking on the ground, you don't know that right below your foot, you know, 10 years ago, somebody would have excavated and dumped some rubbish there and covered it back. You know, you wouldn't know if, you know, some dead animal or whatever would have died there years ago and was buried and stuff like that. So the ground is just as, it's something that, you know, is very variable, and you don't know a lot of what is going on below the ground, you know, and our job is to find out, you know, by doing certain, you know, investigations to find out exactly what is going on below the ground so that we can know how strong the soil is, if it's able to withstand, you know, the forces of the building, and if it can't, you know, we you know, design different things to stabilize it and stuff like that. Even landslides, you guys see a lot of landslides happening, you know, around Tobago recently due to rain. We would be the ones to come in and basically recommend solutions to fix that problem, if you understand. All right, so that is that. So the same goes. But yes, business owner, I think business ownership should be your foot. Give me 1 second. Oh, never mind. Right. So, I mean, not to discourage, you know, your passions, you could always do it. Like a lot of things, oh, I'm a full-time engineer, but you realize that I have my own business, you know, where I deal with, give extra lessons for high school and, you know, university students, right? And that is actually based on my passion, you know, but full-time, I'm an engineer, you know? So I found a way how to balance both. So it's not that you need to disregard one for the other. You could just try to find a way to incorporate both. You know, try your best to balance. You're going to realize when it's your passion, it's a lot easier for you to balance a lot of things, you know? So like this is a full enterprise where we do, you know, a lot of, we have over 100 different university students who, you know, tutor other university students and persons like, you know, who are doing CSEC and CAPE exams, you know? And yeah, this is a full-time business I'm running part-time, but I'm able to do it simply because throughout my, you know, high school and university tenure, I would have do a lot of tutoring, you know, and it's something that I'm passionate about. So, you know, try your best to, but you know, I'm still a full-time engineer. You know, at the end of the day, I still was able to prioritize, you know, that, hey, I like engineering and I want to be an engineer, but this is something I want, but it will grow, you know, as I pursue part-time. So do I enjoy being an engineer? Yes, I do enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, it's demanding at times, right? But however, it don't really bother you because you enjoy the process, you know, and because I enjoy problem solving and I enjoy, you know, just thinking about problems and thinking of ways to fix things, you know, even though sometimes it may be difficult, at the end, you know, it's very rewarding because, you know, I'm still doing something that I enjoy totally. Yes. Okay, I know, so I hope that answers most of you guys' questions.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you guys for asking those questions. Very nice questions. Thank you, sir, for answering them.
No problem.
And I have one student, Jaden, who would like to say something on behalf of the class.
Okay, no problem.
Jaden?
Morning, sir.
Morning.
My name is Jalen Adams. Today I want to say something on behalf of the school. On behalf of the Bishop Secondary School, I would like to say thanks for taking time off daily activities to come here and talk with us. We learn so much from these wise word of speech. Touch my heart, so words for you is to continue, live your dream, or to do what you are doing because it's only about giving yourself pleasure. Because if you live your life to please others, you are not living any life at all. When I first heard your name, I said to myself, this person sounds like he can deliver.
Thank you very much, Jaden. Thank you for, you know, having me here. You know,
Yes.
thank you guys for everything. You know, it's really a pleasure to, you know, talk to the students. And yeah, it's really something that's rewarding in itself. So thank you again, everyone.
Yes,
For having
sir.
me here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for making the time. So I greatly appreciate it.